What is up, guys? Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Hey, do you like saving money? I know I do. Trusted American Mortgage wants to help you save money, get into a better interest rate, lower your monthly payment. Go to trustedamerican.com and find out how much they can save you today.
Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
That's right. Welcome to the show, guys. How are you doing, Scott?
I'm great. Nate, how are you?
Good. You had a shoulder injury, though, didn't you?
I
This
did have a
weekend?
shoulder injury.
Yeah.
It's this one.
Yeah.
This guy right here.
Welcome to Off Field. This is Scott Shaffer. I'm Nate Jackson. And we hope you had a great weekend. Scott is a former basketball player, college basketball
player. You know, I can say that.
But maybe you shouldn't be playing anymore. You're a little old now. You just dislocated
I shouldn't
your
be
shoulder.
playing anymore. It's like you're a former Bronco,
Yeah,
as everyone knows. You don't play football anymore, right?
I don't.
And I shouldn't be playing basketball at 41.
Well, there are guys who are able to kind of do it.
Yeah, but those are the guys who are somehow, like, I call them the tryhards.
Yeah,
You know, they can go 100 miles an hour no matter how old they are, and they never get hurt.
yeah.
And I hate those guys. And that's kind of what happened.
Well, you're a big guy. Those are usually little guys.
But
right?
see, that's the thing. Everyone, you know, in basketball, I'm 6'3". I'm a munchkin in basketball terms.
Well, in NBA terms.
But when I go play pickup ball, guess what? They're like, go down low.
Yeah,
I'm like, I've never played down low in my life. What are you talking about?
Really?
I'm a point guard.
You're a point guard?
Yeah.
Wow.
At 6'3"? No. Jokic is 7'1". That's enormous.
It's not Jokic.
I know. I would say it wrong.
You're from Kansas City.
Well, I'm from Kansas City, and
There's
also
no basketball
once
teams
you
there.
tell me I've said something wrong, I can't say it right again. It
Jokic.
messes up my brain. Jokic.
Yeah, Jokic.
There you go. See, Jokic.
Yeah. So did you hear that the NFL owners meetings are going on?
I did hear that.
Yeah, and it's in West Palm Beach,
We have boots on the ground.
Mar-a-Lago. It's happening at Mar-a-Lago.
Mar-a-Lago.
They have great waterboarding there. Did you know
Sure,
that? Yeah.
sure.
Have you ever been waterboarding before?
No.
It's to die for.
I know it is to die for. I knew you were gonna have like a little saying for that.
Best waterboarding ever.
Waterboarding does sound like fun if we
Doesn't
didn't
it?
if we didn't know what it was. You know,
You want to go waterboarding? Sure.
do you have to say it like that?
Yeah, waterboarding. So the NFL owners and the coaches and everybody's down there for the
Mhm.
Broncos, and we're going to talk about that NFL owners meeting and some of the stuff that goes on there.
How long does this last?
I think it's a couple days.
A couple days. Okay, I thought it was like a week, but
It's just like billionaires and millionaires,
sure.
like rubbing shoulders.
do you think it's fun for them?
I think it's fun for them. I
Yeah.
think it depends on who you are. If you're probably like the poorest owner, it's not very fun.
Sure.
But for
Which
the,
is a hilarious thing
Yeah.
to say. The poorest NFL
Yeah.
owner.
the poorest billionaire,
Yeah.
because I think they're probably all billionaires. Maybe
Who do
there's some millionaires, which that guy probably doesn't feel
I'll
good.
look up who the poorest NFL owner.
Yeah, who's the poorest NFL owner?
Yeah.
I'll tell you who isn't the poorest NFL owner. The Penners,
Yes.
the Walton Penner Group.
Yeah.
The Broncos owners are the richest owners in the NFL, and that's got to feel good for them
Mhm.
because they're new to this game. This is the second year I think that they're owning this stuff, and so the Broncos brass is going down there, and they're swinging it around, man. The Broncos are feeling good about what they're doing. They're swinging it around a little bit. Sean Payton talked. Greg Penner talked. George Payton talked. And really, we're going to check in with Brandon Cristal, who's out there right now, in a little bit. But Sean Payton spoke today, this morning at the breakfast, relative to the Broncos and their. But what do you got going on right now?
I got going on. I was looking at poorest owners.
Don't do it.
All right.
Because there's a camera on you right now, and that's what some
I'm
people
still learning TV,
don't
guys.
see. If there's a one shot and it goes like away from you,
I get it.
do it.
Yeah. What if I'm just texting
just
my
like-
mom and dad?
What's for dinner?
Like, my shoulder's fine. It's okay.
But Sean Payton was out there, and he's feeling pretty good about the fact that the Broncos are relevant again. But we're going to hear some sound from Sean Payton. Here is Sean Payton talking about, number one, we're going to talk about how good it feels to go into this season and not need a quarterback. Okay, Bo Nix is the guy. Let's hear from Sean Payton talking about Bo Nix and what it's like having him back for his second year.
Best part is having one in the building. You know, the worst part is being at this where there's not one in the building. And really, I haven't had that a lot. You know, last year you guys had a lot of good, fair questions like, man, regardless of your experience, this is the first time you're having to go out and so That's nice. Going into year 2, I think it's making sure that you're not running again. Like there's a process that we have to respect and understand and not assume. And so there's a lot of little things still that Bo will want to be better at, that we need to be better at coaching. Unfortunately, he's got that makeup, that grit, that toughness, all those things that you look for, and that's already begun with him.
Yeah. So for so long, the Broncos are looking for a quarterback,
Right?
And your favorite team,
Yep,
the Chiefs, were beneficiaries of that absence.
sure.
The fact that Broncos could not find
A lot of guys
a quarterback.
coming through that door.
Are you afraid as a Chiefs fan now
No,
that the Broncos found their guy, and he's coming into his second year, first year in which they outscored the Chiefs by quite a bit in those 2 games, didn't they?
they did.
Yeah.
They did.
Bo Nix, second year, you make a big jump as a quarterback.
Sure.
And he had quite a good rookie season there. Do you fear that the Broncos are on the path to dethroning the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC West?
I don't, but right now, I actually thought it would have been the Chargers with Justin Herbert's kind of arrival. That would kind of be the next thing to challenge the Chiefs, and they've kind of
they were good last year.
They kind of chargered though. They kind of get there, and they kind of fizzle away. And so it's kind of exciting to see the Broncos with kind of who they seem to think is their franchise quarterback, right?
Seem to think.
Yeah, seem to think. It's year 2. You're not even in year 2 with this guy.
Do you
and
feel
you
like
guys
that?
have already put up a statue for him outside of Mile High? And I think,
well, hey, look, if we're looking at and I'm not a huge stat guy.
Yeah,
I'm not. But if you're comparing the statistics of one Patrick Mahomes, who's supposed to be on GOAT trajectory,
he's on the trajectory.
he only threw 26 touchdowns last
Hard
year.
word to say for me.
Bo Nix had statistically just as good of a season as
Oh yeah,
Patrick
he was
Mahomes.
not an MVP running at all. Like he was not
Right. So he's not. Is he really on the trajectory to becoming the GOAT?
overall career-wise. Yeah, last year not a great year.
No.
Everyone has down years, even your lovely Joe Montana.
So you think Patrick Mahomes is going to win 7 Super Bowls?
I don't think that's realistic. If it happens, great. But like the fact that I'm a Chiefs fan and the fact that he's got us 3, I'm fine with that. I'm great with that.
Oh, you're good. You're done.
I'm done.
Good.
Just,
Well,
Pat,
it's over.
close it up.
It's
We're good
over.
to go. Yeah.
Well, the Broncos, and so speaking as a former player, and just the complicated nature of Sean Payton's offense, it's not easy to learn.
Yeah.
It's like you see him reading the playoff before a play starts. He's talking for like 10 seconds.
Sure.
And then so the quarterback has to hear that and then relay that to the guys and get that right.
Yeah.
And that takes another 10 seconds.
So did he think that like once he got Russell Wilson, once he came to Denver and got Russell Wilson, was he even excited about the factor that did he want Russell Wilson? Did he think that he could
Russell
pick
was here
this
before
up?
he got here.
I know, but I'm saying,
Yeah.
like, did he think that once he got Russell Wilson, once he came into it, that he was going to actually like live up to his, I don't know, high standards and get this offense off the ground?
Russell
was he
or
always?
Sean?
No, did Sean think that Russell could do it, run his offense?
I think he had hopes that he could. He had never.
Did
played,
he see a future? You think?
Well, he had never played. He had never coached him before. He had never
Yeah.
been on the same team before. He'd never see how he digests an offense.
I just feel like Sean
Russell's-
Payton was always wanting that young quarterback to kind of mold.
It's not as yes, you're right, but it's not just about youth. It's about a way he sees the game. Like if Aaron Rodgers were to come in here,
yeah,
I'm sure Sean Payton would work well with Aaron
Sure.
Rodgers. But Russell Wilson doesn't play the game that way. He's more of an instinctive player. You may practice something all week long. If they do this, we're gonna go here with it. If they show this blitz, we're gonna throw it to this guy.
Sure.
That's what coaches set up at practice all week long. Scenarios that are going to reveal themselves in the game, they hope.
Yeah.
So they give you every scenario possible that they think could happen in a game, and they drill you on it. And then you do it at practice, and they watch the film, and they correct it. No, you got to do this if they do that. We got to make sure we know this. Okay, that's what the NFL work week is like, preparing for the eventualities of the game based on the film study you've done, based on the scouting you've done of your opponent. Sure, they do some stuff sometimes that you didn't prepare for. But the more you prepare, the more you grind, the more prepared you'll be on game day, right? It makes sense, right?
Yep.
So they do all that all week, and then they step to the line of scrimmage, and Russell snaps the ball, and they do the exact same thing that they said they were going to do. And they drilled this all week long. And if they do this thing, throw it to this guy, and it's going to be a touchdown,
Yeah.
Scott. It's you, Scott. You're the guy.
I'm catching it.
You're going to be open
Yeah.
when your guy blitzes, and your guy blitzes, and you turn around like, throw me the ball, Russ. And what's he doing? He's not even looking at you.
Yeah.
He's bailing out of the pocket. He's doing all kinds of weird stuff. He's trying to buy time. He dumps it to the running back. That is what drove Sean Payton crazy about Russell Wilson, and that's what Bo Nix does not do.
And I'm more open than a 24-hour, 24/7 Waffle House, baby.
Okay, and everyone knows that about
Everyone
you.
knows that about me.
And that's why they threw you the ball with a game online last night, and then you dislocated your shoulder.
Yep.
And you spent 5 hours at the hospital.
Yep.
So that's how open you are.
Yeah.
But Russell Wilson plays a brand of football that Sean Payton doesn't like.
Yeah.
He's not a cerebral guy. He's not an in the pocket guy. He's not a read the coverage guy. And you're right about the youth. He's turning Bo into that.
Sure.
But Bo also has instincts that are more refined, I think, than Russell's, to get the ball out of his hand, to avoid the mistake, to not hold the ball and run around in the pocket too much. Bo gets out of the pocket a lot. And you know what Sean Payton just talked about? How Bo needs to improve some stuff into his second year. Everybody does.
Yeah.
But his rookie year was so good that that we feel good about what we're building. Or I'm not.
I still do the
I'm
we.
not. But
It's
I'm not going
fine.
to say we, because I'm an impartial media member. So I'm not going to do that.
But you're also a former Bronco.
Yes, I am.
Do you have a fear of a sophomore slump?
Not a fear, but it happens often. And it's not just because like Bo got worse, but it's because people now know Bo and how to prepare to beat him.
Yeah.
They know his tendencies. They know he's faster than they thought before. So Sean Payton and company talked about how he took a lot of people by surprise with his legs and his athleticism. Guess what? Nobody's going to be surprised anymore.
Sure.
Scotty, now everyone knows you're handsome. They know you're 6'3". They know your shoulder's crappy. So now if they go out there, guess what? They're pounding your shoulder.
My shoulder.
Right?
Yeah.
Bo had a couple. Now I'm not saying they're going to purposely hit Bo in his back, but he had 3 fractures in his back last year, and he had an off-season surgery.
Yeah.
In either his knee or his ankle. So yeah.
But that gets talked about.
Right.
Yeah.
So everybody know, I think those are going to heal. Those aren't going to hinder him. But I would say that, once a book is out on you and you have these really smart defensive minds scouting ways to contain you, then it becomes a little harder for you. So a sophomore slump, definitely a possibility. But one way to prevent that is to shore up the running game. Scott and the Broncos haven't had a good running game. So you got to think with a number 20 pick.
Yep.
That's what the Broncos have in the first round. They might be drafting a running back.
Okay.
And so let's hear from Sean Payton now, talking at the owners' meetings about the importance and the characteristics, really, of who they're looking for in a running back. Here's Sean.
Different types of runners. Sometimes we'll refer to a runner as a 3-down player or a 2-down player. Does this guy have good receiving skills? Can he block pressure? As far as the makeup traits or the physical characteristics, it's the one position where height is really not discussed. Short or small is discussed, and there's a difference. So they've got to have a lower body. In this draft, I've seen a number of these players that I feel are first and second down runners, and I feel like I've seen a number of players that can potentially play on third down. It's just what you're looking for. But I think ball security, you're looking for some backs make positive yards most of the time, and that's a trait that I think is a feel. In other words, and some backs don't have the same vision as others, meaning they'll take a negative play. And look, make no mistake about it, we're wanting to see our group at home, get these opportunities now, and so that competition I think will help.
Shawnee P there talking.
Shawnee P.
Shawnee P.
I like that. Yeah, that's nice.
Shawnee P talking about what they're looking for in a running back. So he wants a nice booty, right? He
I
wants
think so.
A thick lower body.
Yeah.
He
I was
wants,
about to ask you what kind of running back Sean Payton wants, and you can't just say Alvin Kamara because he's just too great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're thinking shorter, squattier.
Well, what
powerful.
he's saying is there's different kinds of running backs, and what kind are you looking for? The 3-down player is someone who can play on third down, so it's third and long, or it's a passing down.
Yeah.
So he's got to have passing skills, pass receiving skills, but also the ability to protect against a blitzing linebacker, a blitzing safety, or pick up someone who's coming to kill your quarterback. So
Yeah.
you got to be stout in the lower body and be able to get down and block, but you also have to be able to get out of the backfield and catch passes. That's a kind of a rare combination there.
Sure.
Samaje Perine was one of those guys.
Yep.
And they let him go, right? Jaleel McLaughlin could be a third down guy, but can he block? Can he set his feet and take on a linebacker who's rushing?
Who do you think the best blocker is of the running backs you have right now?
Probably body type Audric Estime. I mean,
Mhm.
because he's young,
Yeah.
and you have to learn a lot to become a blocker.
Sure.
Not just about schemes and protections and where to see the blitz and where to, hear the line calls, but technique to meet him in the hole and not wait for him. Because if you just sit there and wait for a 250-pound linebacker running as
get
fast as he
blowed up.
can, he's going to run right through you.
Yeah.
You have to step forward and meet him in space and not let him get the head of steam.
Sure.
Right. And so those are techniques you learn as you go. But he's talking about he sees a lot of first and second down backs and in the draft. And those are guys who are going to, not necessarily have the receiving skills or the pass protection skills, but they're running the rock skills. Right.
Yeah.
And so he mentioned at the end there, the guys at home getting a chance. Those are the guys who are already on the roster.
Yep.
Blake Watson, Audric Estime, Jaleel McLaughlin, and Tyler Bidet.
Great name.
It was Beatty, and he changed it.
He
to
changed
Bidet.
it.
Yeah. And maybe he'll go waterboarding in Mar-a-Lago.
I mean, hey,
with that
he's got time.
with that name, but so those guys are going to get a shot.
Yeah.
You're going to probably draft a couple guys
Mhm.
and bring them in and let them mix it up. But to me, the wild card is Jaleel McLaughlin.
Yeah.
How do you view him? Do you view him as, a Darren Sproles type of guy who's going to be heavily involved in the offense, or a number 3 back who can
Mhm.
just be a change it up back, and he's got to get a number 1 and a number 2. It's how you want to configure this roster. But what we do know is that Sean Payton is very good at getting the best out of his offensive players, finding the thing that they do well, and then making sure he sets them up to do that in games. That can make him a little bit of a one-trick pony in my mind, but at the same time, he's had a lot of success doing it.
Yeah.
And so that's what he's looking for, guys who can fill certain roles.
Are you much of a draft guy? Do you have your eye on someone at that 20th pick?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm not much of a draft guy.
Well, I have another question after that, because then who at the house, who here at the home, whatever he said, who in the Broncos now do you see kind of has an opportunity to really step up?
Yeah. So maybe Audric Estime.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna say him.
Those 2 guys, Blake Watson and Tyler Bidet, seem more like long shots.
Mhm.
Clearly very talented. They like him. They brought him in. They got a little bit of action last year, not a lot, but Audric Estime is the one who was kind of like showed some signs and then disappeared.
Mhm.
Had some fumbling issues. Ball security, right?
Security.
Right, ball security. Like a security guard at a sperm bank. It's about ball security.
Oh wow.
All right.
Oh wow.
All right.
Do they hold him? Okay.
No,
No, they don't.
they hold the sample.
Sure.
Yeah, because you want to secure.
You don't want
those.
to drop that.
No. So running backs are like, it's crazy because all these guys are good at toting the rock.
Sure.
They're really good in college. So it's fine. It's finding the right situation. But again, like this goes back to, for me, a commitment to the running game in the building. It's not just like getting the right running back. These guys are all talented. They all can eat. If you give them
ASMR
the
for ya.
ball, if you give them the ball and you
Yeah.
commit to running the football. Sean Payton did not commit to running the football.
Sure.
That's why he had to run it on his play sheet. I don't know if you know about that.
I don't.
You don't. But
No.
at the end of the season, he wrote run it on his play sheet, and a camera saw that.
Yeah.
Because he had to remind himself to run the ball. A guy who always wants to throw the ball.
Does that make you think that he's A, reminding himself, or also B, I don't have my guy yet?
That's probably what he's telling himself.
Yeah.
But to me, I was on teams where it didn't matter who. I'm not saying it didn't matter, but they weren't big names back there in the backfield, and they would get 1,000 yards every season. It was because of the offensive line and the commitment to the running game and the way we practiced, Scott. We practiced hard. We kicked ass in the running game.
Did he have on the practice sheet? Did it say run it? Did he
No,
practice the
we didn't.
run?
We didn't have to say run it.
Yeah.
You don't you have to remind yourself to do something that you don't like doing.
Sure.
Right? You don't have to remind yourself, Scott, to do the thing that you love the most.
Don't
you
worry.
just do it.
It's just my left hand,
Yes.
not my right hand.
You don't remind yourself to do
No.
that. You just do it.
just
right?
do it. Sometimes I just catch myself doing it. You know?
Don't forget to
Don't forget
handle.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to do that.
I don't. Yeah.
Sean Payton doesn't have to remind himself to throw it.
Yeah.
He doesn't say throw it.
Sure.
He says run it because he doesn't do that. And so to me, like, if you really want to be a running team, you do it every day, and it's a commitment. It's an identity. When I played for the Broncos and Mike Shanahan, every day we worked it. That was our main focus, even though Mike Shanahan was considered kind of an offensive genius, throwing the ball and stuff like that. It was a running game that set the tone there. So I'd like to see the Broncos commit more to their run philosophically and let those offensive linemen fire off the ball and establish some aggression at the beginning of the game and not, pass set, because then you turn into a catcher instead of, dishing it out.
Sure.
One person who doesn't have to say run it on his play sheet is our very own Brandon Cristal. Do we have Brandon? Brandon, are you there?
I'm here,
buddy.
live, loud and clear from beautiful Palm Beach, Florida. You got me?
We got you. Before I ask you how things are going, am I correct here? Is it your birthday? Happy birthday!
It is my birthday. Brandon. It is my birthday. I'm 47 years young, believe it or not.
Wow.
So,
HBD, BK.
Thank you, guys. I'm celebrating by hanging out at the NFL owners meetings. But at least my pal Diana Rossini is like 4 feet from me. If y'all want to wave at her, there's television and internet star, and I guess
Brandon Cristal.
Yeah, but there, it's cool. Good place to be on my birthday, I guess.
Yeah, set the scene for us there. You're in West Palm Beach. Is that what's going on? Was a lot of billionaires?
We were in Palm Beach. Oh, there's a difference. It's like Castle Pines, Castle Rock. Palm Beach and West Palm Beach are two very different things.
Okay. So what's it like? I mean, is it, you see all these people that or is everyone mingling? Is it cordoned off? Like, what's the scene like out there?
So this is actually one of the better events to cover and to really get to, I'm trying to dodge the sun, to really get to have a chance to talk to some of the NFL's, most notable personalities when you talk about on the team side. Obviously, ownership and ownership groups, as well as the coaches. You guys have been playing some of that Sean Payton video from earlier this morning. 7:45 is when that started. That's a fun way to start my birthday. Getting up to have breakfast with Sean Payton. George Payton talked. Damani Leach talked. So your GMs talk, your coaches talk. They do the AFC coaches one day, NFC coaches the other, and it usually flip flops. And they talk. It used to be an hour, then it was 45 minutes. Now it's a half hour, and so that's formal. Almost every team makes their owner available to their local media, as well as the GM. And in the Broncos case, we'll also talk to team president Damani Leach. And so you get to kind of get a state of the union. So, we can get into some of the stuff Greg talked about as far as the new stadium. George talked about with the draft. Damani, I think, is going to talk about the business side. That's coming up here in a little bit. And then the wildest event to me on the NFL calendar, because I've been covering the owners' meetings about 8 straight years now, minus COVID, is they do a cocktail party, but it is not your normal cocktail party because it's for the owners. And they invite every single person that has a credential. So if you're an owner, GM, coach, their family, staff, support staff, PR staff, management, that might be along, cap guy, the team's legal team, and media, we all get to go to this event that's, here at the hotel where they're having it. And you get to just mingle. As they remind you in email, it's a social event. But literally, you'll be at the bar, and Mike Tirico will be standing next to you. And Robert Kraft will be around the corner there. And Clark Hunt will be behind him in line waiting to grab a drink. And Mike Tomlin's over here shooting the shit with Sean Payton. It's the strangest, most unique, interesting event. And more media keeps covering this. So I feel like at some point they're going to pull the plug on it, but they're not, at least as of tonight. So it's in some ways kind of my favorite thing to do every single year that I know I can count on beyond getting to cover the Super Bowl, which is obviously great, is you're just hanging out at this cocktail party. The only person that has security is Goodell, but I think it's to keep the owners away from it.
See if you can get Roger Goodell or one of those guys to do a shot with you on your birthday, man.
That's right.
Birthday
You
shot.
got leverage now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you just mentioned Greg Penner talking about the stadium. That's something that people are interested in. I myself believe that the stadium's great. How it is, I know, but they want to host the Super Bowl. They want to modernize it. They want to put their stamp on it. What did Greg Penner have to say about the prospect of a new Broncos stadium, Brandon?
Well, it's kind of more of the same. And I think some people are eager to have some sort of forward momentum or an announcement. But the sense I get, and I could be wrong, and Greg's obviously just going to share whatever he wants to share. Now, maybe tonight at the cocktail party, he gets a little, we take a couple birthday shots and he decides to really lay out the timeline. I just don't think they're in that big of a hurry. They were looking at 10 years remaining on the current lease when they bought the team. And so now it's been 3 seasons, which means they have 7 years left. And he said they can use that and work in that time frame, or they can modify it. They can extend the lease. There's plenty of research that they've done. And he referenced when they reached out to fans in the past year or two asking what they want in a new stadium, they get answers across the board. The one thing he said, though, is he talked about prospective locations. It could stay where it is. But he also said we could be in Lone Tree or Aurora. So he mentioned Aurora, but to me, Aurora, we know how strange those city lines are. Is Aurora up by the Gaylord Convention Center and that part of Aurora, or is it near the Broncos practice facility in that part of Aurora, or somewhere in between? We know Lone Tree's a little more limited, but when you look at it, and actually, because I was having this conversation with people the other night at the Nuggets game about what we might see this week, would there be an announcement? They never try to overshadow league news. So I don't think a team's going to announce a new stadium, even though people are going to ask the Bears ownership and management when they talk to them, what's going on in there? No one's trying to say, hey, here's our new stadium. Look at the cool video we made. But the one thing that I did looking into this, I found out 65% of the Broncos season ticket holders or their ticket base comes from the south side of town. So that basically, if you look at the corridor from kind of across 470, but kind of Cherry Hills South and Littleton and Highlands Ranch and Castle Rock and Castle Pines and Parker and that southwest side.
Senator, interrupt you. Does that mean they don't want to go downtown? I mean, wouldn't they like a lot of people value getting out of their little bubble in the South and getting downtown, don't they?
No, and I think that all factors into it, and that's why they're not rushing through this process. I think they're going to decide what makes the most sense, and the most sense might be, they say renovating the stadium. I think scrapping the stadium and building it basically on the same site, just like they did with now Empower Field at Mile High when you had old Mile High. It's always a fun picture of the old stadium and the new stadium, basically when they're touching before they knock down old Mile High. And he said that there's been a plan in place because they own a lot more land south, like near Brooklands and south of that. The Broncos own all of that. And so the original Brooklands. And so they could do a huge, not renovation, but just build out of a mixed use facility with, a hotel and apartments and retail, and maybe even connect it with their cousins, the Cronkies, and the development plans they have for all of their land where Elitch's is and around Ball Arena. So I do think all these options are on the table. It's just that they aren't in as big a hurry as fans would like, because they don't need to be. But I think ultimately, because the one thing that he was asked towards the end was, with the Final Four on the horizon, knowing that there will never be a Final Four in Denver unless there is a dome retractable roof kind of setup. The last basketball stadium only Final Four was at McNichols in 1990 when UNLV ran Duke out of the gym, and then they've been in domes ever since. And so you would assume they want to host a Super Bowl, they want to host Final Fours, that a roof or retractable roof is almost non-negotiable, but Greg wouldn't concede that. In Buffalo, they're not putting a roof on that new stadium, but they don't want to host a Super Bowl because Buffalo doesn't have the infrastructure. They couldn't have enough hotel rooms and everything else. Denver does want to host it. And so I think whether it's down south or some part of Aurora or right where it is, whatever the new stadium looks like, and whenever it obviously gets built, it will have a roof or a retractable roof almost certainly.
BK, I've got a question for you. Since it is the coaches and the owners meeting, probably a lot of talk about kind of some boring stuff, the rule changes, maybe stadium stuff, which isn't that boring. But how much talk has there been towards Sean Payton about Bo Nix and his upcoming second year?
Well, and that was when we weren't kind of picking his brain on draft stuff. You'd get, because you've got there's 6 or 7 local reporters that are there at the table, the breakfast tables. You can see where Sean's sitting at a round table. But in that first clip you played, Jory Epstein from Yahoo was there, like in that shot. And then there's another dude that was standing there. And so people will kind of come in. So we obviously asked about Bo Nix, but there was like 3 or 4 kind of Bo Nix related questions, and having that in place. And you can tell because we heard from Sean and George Payton and Greg Penner right after the season when they did that end of year wrap up press conference. And then, we talked to Sean and George obviously at the combine as well. And so I even asked Greg today, can you get a sense that because Bo Nix is in place, it's just a different offseason? And this is really what Sean Payton knows. He got pretty lucky that he hits a home run with the Drew Brees signing when he gets to New Orleans, but for the better part of 15 years, other than when he tried to grab Patrick Mahomes in 2017, he wasn't really worried about a quarterback for a lot of that. And he certainly is not worried about that now. But so he talked about, you heard that clip that you guys played about them, in year 2, about how they want to develop him, how hungry he is. He has been around plenty. Greg mentioned how cool it was seeing him at the Nuggets game, at the Avs game. He's got a football camp coming up. He's really obviously just ingratiating himself in the and intertwining himself with the community and the fan base. And so when you've got him in place, it's okay, now let's build around him. But also you can't rest on your laurels. And they, as you heard Sean talk about, he's has the right type of makeup to want to be better in year 2. But we saw that same narrative similarly at the Combine too, and even in the Super Bowl with, the Broncos found their guy. How nice is that? Maybe Jaden Daniels is rookie of the year, that's fine. But Bo Nix is right there with them, and it sure seems like, I know, Scott, you were downplaying it, and I don't know if they're putting a statue up at wherever the new stadium. They might at the new stadium, at this stadium. Yeah. But having him in place has made the Broncos' approach to the offseason that much easier, just like it is for every team, whether that's, and I know that you're always going to have your salary cap challenges and that, but, the Bengals, the Bills, certainly your Chiefs, and now a handful more teams that feel like they got it, the Commanders being right there, knowing they've got their young guy in place on the rookie contract for a few more years, and then hopefully on a second and a third contract as well.
One more question before we let you get out of here and enjoy your birthday out there in Palm Beach, BK. But rules changes. So part of the reason why they're out there is to vote, I guess, on some rules changes. Certain teams propose them. Is that how it is? And then they put it to a vote. And then what is the vote? How does it win? How does it pass? Can you break down that kind of process for us a little bit and let us know what those rules changes are that are on the table and if any of those have passed, if we know those yet?
We haven't heard anything, but we start to hear one or two things that'll come out because it's a dozen or so rules changes. There's only 3 or 4 that people are really talking about, and to go through them quickly, it's banning the tush push. I happened to just be in a conversation with an owner last night and a national reporter who we were walking out of the hotel here just at the end of the night about it, and this owner said that if you look at the rule, it already is on the books that you cannot aid a player going forward. He's like, if you just enforce the rule, then it's a non-issue. Yeah. So you don't even have to make it a rule change. It's just call the penalty that's there. The second you push a player from behind, that's already been on the book. So that seems to be the one that has the most kind of dissent in terms of from coaches, from management, from an ownership perspective. And so I think that's the one that they said that there was some reporting that Kalen Kaler did, I saw from ESPN, about it getting pretty heated in the discussions. And so they'll table stuff to kind of get through the kind of easier things on the checklist. Hey, let's do this. One of the other things is the kickoff. Is it punitive?
When you said it was getting heated in there, who's getting heated? Like the owners? The owners they're not football guys, right?
No, like but so certain meetings, yeah. No, sorry, but certain meetings will have, like, some meetings are owner only, or some meetings are owner plus 2 guests. So sometimes that's a GM, sometimes it's it's a finance thing. So it's the head of finance for each team, and then and sometimes it's a coach, GM, and the coaches have their own meetings, the GMs have their own meetings, and then they recommend based on where they're coming from to their owner, and the owner can go against what his coach or GM wishes just because they want to, and that's how they want to go about it. But it does get heated. The one that I remember and think back to, and I think it was the first one I went to, was in Phoenix. No, maybe it was the second or third one, but after the pass interference that got screwed up in that New Orleans and Rams game, that obviously the Rams went on to go to the Super Bowl in the 2019 season. Sean Payton was there that spring, like literally trying to whip up votes the way you would in the Senate or in Congress, like trying to get people on his side on that pass interference rule change. And so I think that there's some of that, like where teams are trying to explain their point of view to other teams that might be in the middle. Because some it's like, no, leave the play in, it's football play. Some are like, take it out, it's unfair. And then there's probably the bulk of them are in the middle. So you're trying to sway them. And so they have these meetings when they have breaks, and we'll hear about it. And then Rich McKay, the head of the competition committee, and usually a coach or a GM or an owner that's a part of it, will come to the meeting and stand there next to him, and they'll explain why certain things passed, why certain things failed or why they were tabled until their next meeting in a few months. It's always a smaller version of this where they just vote on league matters. But there's nothing big, no new ownership stuff, nothing related to teams moving. So it's just these handful of rules. But those are kind of the two biggest. The third being the one Sean said he was against, that the Lions proposed it. And it's interesting because the Lions did win their division. The Vikings had 14 wins and didn't, but that you seed based on record, not based on winning the AFC West, winning the AFC North, winning the NFC. And Sean said he's in favor that winning your division should matter. And he remembers going to Seattle and losing with his Saints when Seattle was 7-9, but they earned that right by winning their division, even if it was a crappy division. So yeah, nothing crazy. I think that extending the kickoff another year with, now it might move to the 35 on a touchback, making it more punitive, because even though you had as many returns and that number up a little bit across the league, Marvin Mims only had 7 kick returns the whole year. And you're talking about perhaps the most dynamic returner in all of football. And I guess I just didn't realize that number. So I'd love to see a little more of it, or teams say, you know what, take the ball at 35. We'd rather you have it there. But I think that will almost certainly pass. The tush push one, though, is the one that'll be most interesting to see where they land on it tomorrow.
Good stuff, BK. Hey, get out there, have some fun.
Happy birthday.
It's your birthday. Happy
Thank
birthday,
you, guys.
man. And have fun tonight. And we'll talk with you soon. Appreciate you being out there. There he goes.
Yeah.
Brandon Cristal at the owners'
47
meeting.
years young.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Yeah. Right.
HD.
Right. So yeah, the rules changes, man.
Yeah.
And so let's just go over those a little bit, because interesting that he talked about the tush push kind of already being on the
number
books.
one, basically.
Well, I mean, it's a controversial play.
Yeah.
Because people can't stop it, right?
For sure. But
if it's already on the books, and that makes sense, you can't push them from behind. But offensive linemen will do that sometime. Like when a guy's held up, they'll come right behind him and push him into the, I think Javonte Williams got carried into the end zone this year by his offensive line, and they didn't call a flag on that. So it seems like an enforcement issue there. If it's already on the books, they need to address that. But the tush push is an interesting play. Did you know back in the day when Gridiron, when football first started, before the forward pass ever existed, Scott?
Yeah.
They did this flying wedge thing where everyone was in on the line of scrimmage and everyone just freaking
went to the middle.
Yeah, everyone just did that, basically.
Yeah, sure.
That's what football used to be.
Was that every other play,
every
every play, yeah.
It was like flying wedge left, flying wedge right.
Everyone hated it.
Yeah, there was no ball in the air. There was nothing out wide. There was no motion man.
Couldn't see what was happening.
No, it was just scrums. It was
Yeah.
because it was based on rugby, rugby scrums, And so nothing really was happening outside of that until...
I bet it was exciting if you got like 6 yards.
Yeah.
People
that was like 4 yards in a
play?
cloud of dust or whatever. Yeah. I think it came from that era, but there was a commission that was convened. The game was incredibly dangerous. Go figure at that time too.
Yeah.
They didn't have helmets.
No.
I think like in, I don't know, one year in like the early 1900s, like 18 amateur football players died.
I bet. Yeah.
From all kinds of stuff. Plus they didn't have like antibiotics back then. You get an infection in a broken bone. You
kind
die.
of just doing it. Yeah.
Right. But
you're raw dogging this.
But Teddy Roosevelt understood the value in football, convened like a commission to adjust some rules and make it safer, but also more entertaining.
Sure.
They instituted the forward pass. They outlawed some of the flying wedge stuff. Yeah. They split guys out, and they tried to save the game that way. And it helped a lot. But, 120 years later, we're still playing the game.
What is your stance on the tush push?
I don't love it.
Yeah.
But I also think like it's within the rules technically. If you have it in the rules that you can't push a player from the back, then enforce the rules.
Yeah.
If you don't have that rule, then maybe address it, because it's like it works every time. And it's also like super, super dangerous. Because like if you see the way those guys have to line
lower
up
their head.
Yeah, they're like basically parallel to the ground, like inches above the ground. They're just going helmet to helmet, and everyone's just you say you're afraid, you say you're looking out for players' safety, you're taking away the kickoff because of that.
Humanity.
That is a much more dangerous play in my estimation than the kickoff. Yeah. And so but a lot of the health and safety rhetoric is just that rhetoric intended to absolve the league of any wrongdoing or responsibility when a guy has long-term health issues. But that does bring me to another rule change that the kickoff. I think the kickoff sucks the way it is now.
Yeah, same.
I'd like to see him move the ball back and just do a regular kickoff.
Yeah,
I was on a kickoff team. I was on a kickoff return team. Is it more dangerous than a normal play? A little bit, but guess what? The other plays are dangerous too.
Sure.
100% of football players get hurt, Scott.
I mean, like, how many times have you gone across the middle in your career, and how dangerous was that? Super
Very dangerous because
Yeah.
I'm not looking. But then
Yeah.
there's also, moments on a kickoff, because like kickoff return, there's an art to it. People don't
Mhm.
know that. And I used to be on the front line of the kickoff return. So going into the play, I knew which guy I was blocking because we're doing return right, return left, whatever it is. And each of those returns, I have a different guy to block.
Yeah.
And it's a counting system. So I'm counting from the outside, the 1, 2, 3, R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, L5, L4, left and
Got it.
right. You figured that out.
I did.
And
Hurt
so
my
I
shoulder, not
know
my brain.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I go out there, I know who I'm blocking.
Okay.
I'm blocking you, Scott.
Me.
When I'm blocking
R2.
you, you're the R2.
D2.
But guess what I do?
What?
I don't look at you, Scott. Because what would happen if I looked at you?
To tell.
You would know I was blocking you,
Yep.
right? So and there's oftentimes, if you're like the stud on the kickoff team,
Which I am.
we develop a scheme to get you. And so you think you're running free, and there's a guy who's peeling around the other side and wants to
gonna-
decleat you, clean your clock.
Love it.
They don't really do that anymore either. So that was a time when you got to keep your head on the swivel
Yeah.
when you're running down, and sometimes you get caught if you're not paying attention. But that said, I think the way they've changed the kickoff has affected the game in a way that I don't love. Kickoffs were about momentum, about energy, about a moment.
Could absolutely change a game.
Plus, also onside kicks. You can't do onside kicks anymore.
No, you can't. That's
it has
that's
to be
what
like inside the 2 minutes or whatever. It's
and
the
you have to
stupidest thing ever.
announce it. I think that
And you
is
can only do it at
absolutely-
a certain time.
I
You
think
should be
that's-
able to do an onside kick whenever you want.
I think that's criminal. Well, and I'm with
Yeah.
you, and that's why I say
Yeah.
it's criminal, because there's a level of surprise. And Sean, your boy Sean E. Payton,
Shawnee P.
Shawnee P. That
Shawnee
was
P.
his go-to.
Yeah.
He loved a fake.
Did it in the
just a-
Super Bowl.
Loved it.
Did it in the first play of the game against the Raiders
It's
and lost by a
amazing.
point.
It's
It was a
amazing.
stupid thing, but
Hey, but it's amazing.
hey, yeah.
It's entertaining. I mean,
Right.
like
Yeah,
we
that's
took
gone.
out a very entertaining play, and it could still kind of be entertaining. But how many of those onsides were recovered last year? I want to say like 99%.
It's a
Yeah.
travesty. Also because special teams players rely on those types of plays to earn a roster spot.
Yeah.
Kickoff, return, you've kind of neutered those. And so the
Totally.
certain types of players don't have a chance
What
on
are
the
you supposed to
roster
do?
anymore, because really only punt return are the special teams that you're going to really be able to dig your heels into.
Yeah.
All right. So if you were to, have a vote and be able to throw out your own rules change, Scott, what do you have a rule you'd like to change?
I do. And it is absolutely old man yelling at clouds
Okay.
type thing, because I hate this rule. I think every fan has ever hated this rule, and it is illegal man downfield. And it's always when an offensive lineman is trying to go block on like a screen, and he gets like a yard or two away from the line of scrimmage, and the flag goes out. And here's my thing. I understand the basis of the rule.
Okay.
But are we really throwing it to a 700-pound right guard 2 yards downfield? I don't think so. I get that they have to stay at a certain but I don't think that's an offensive thing, so much so that it requires a 5-yard penalty. I just don't.
It happened to the Chiefs, didn't it? And
No, it happens to everybody. It happens to everybody.
Well, no.
I
Okay.
think they saw the Varsity Blues one too many times, and like where the fat guy catches the ball,
No.
and the replacements too, and they just, I don't know, I just don't love illegal man downfield.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's 5 eligible receivers on a field at once.
Sure.
And it's denoted by the number you're wearing.
I get that.
The offensive linemen, if they want to be eligible, they have to check in as eligible. Right? They check in before the play, right? So they talk to the ref and they're like, "Hey, I'm eligible on this play."
Sure.
And then and then they announce it. Other than that, Scott, they can't go catch a pass.
I know that. But usually their backs are to the play and they're looking downfield, and I just
Well,
I
it creates
think
it creates an unfair
egregious.
advantage if you're releasing down the field, and it creates another blocker out there in space. If you're going to release beyond the line of scrimmage before the ball is thrown.
Sure.
So tighten up your offensive operation so you don't have guys releasing down the field.
I knew you were going to go
It's
all
a
coach on me.
sloppy-
I knew you were going to go coach on me.
It's sloppy offense
You
if
are
you're advocating
so
for that.
predictable. You went coach on me. You
No.
went Shawnee P on me.
Some of the rules are there for a reason relative to other rules, and if you don't get it, then you don't got it.
Also, my other rule. This is a Scott Shaffer rule.
Yeah.
If you get a first down and you don't point
Oh.
downfield, that's a penalty.
Oh,
Because I like that. I like
You
a
like
little
the pointing.
celebration. I like a little celebration.
did you hear what they're outlawing now? The
Yeah.
smelling it.
I don't even know what that one means. What does that necessarily
What are
mean?
they smelling?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
What are they smelling?
Tell me.
Have you?
Is this
ever-
a family show? Tell me.
Scott, have you ever run your fingers under someone's nose?
Yes, I have.
What does that mean?
Don't worry about it. I know what it
Okay.
means.
So everyone knows
Go
what
to
it
Urban
means.
Dictionary if you want to hear what that
And
means.
so, yeah, that's why they outlaw it. That is an obscene gesture. I'm not like, old man yelling at clouds, but that's kind of gross. It'd be like, like,
Can you
dude,
not do that?
I don't think you can.
Travis Kelce did it to an official and he got.
Yeah, you can't simulate any sort of like act like that. And we're not.
I just didn't know this.
We're not going to do that on this program.
Oh, I just did it. Sorry. Blur that out, Andy.
All right. So if I had a couple rules to change,
Yeah, let's
I
hear it.
mentioned one of them. It's the kickoff.
Yeah.
I would move it back to like the 25 and just kick the ball off again, man.
Yeah.
Because these guys have just really great legs, and they have really great legs, Scott.
Great legs.
And they can put it in the end zone. They can do touchbacks at any
Sure.
time. So they are going to move the touchback out to the 35, which is crazy too. So I think it's just stupid. When you have a rule that nobody understands, which is what the kickoff is, then it's a bad rule.
Sure.
That's my take on it. So say you got it wrong, move the ball back to the 25. Let's get the kickoff teams.
Actually, this never happened.
And just go kick the ball off.
Yeah.
And do that play again. And then provide adequate health care if they do get hurt.
Yeah.
That's all we're asking. Okay. You're not preventing anyone from getting hurt. This is a violent game by nature. There's no safe way to fight.
No.
There's no safe way to kick each other's ass. And that's what the implications are when you're creating health and safety protocols for the NFL. And I understand that, there are some things that are egregious and you got to protect guys from, but there's a reason why they hand you a helmet on your first day of work. You don't wear a helmet at this job.
No.
Nor do I, because we're not running full speed into one another head first. But you are in the NFL and in football. That's why you have helmets. And
they talk about safety, but it's not a safe game. You're supposed to go out there and collide.
And that's the
people.
point.
Yeah.
Danger is our middle name. Scott.
It's like when people are like, we need to make drugs safer. Like they're drugs. They're not supposed to be safe.
Which drugs?
Every drug.
No.
I'm on drugs right now.
Which drugs are you on?
I can't pronounce them. They're so long.
So you don't think drugs should be safe that you're being given?
No. If you're doing illegal drugs.
Oh, illegal drugs. You're on illegal drugs. Right?
I'm on legal drugs.
Oh, okay.
Legal.
Okay. Okay. This is an old man yelling at a cloud.
I love
moment.
these. These are the ones I like.
I don't like, and you guys tell me where you stand on this. When there's a turnover and the whole defense runs to the opposite end zone and does like a wedding party photo shoot in the end zone. I think that's super lame.
Also, they have this rule in the NBA where you can't show up a ref. I think that's showing up the ref, the team, everyone.
It's stopping the game.
I'm
the whole
with you.
team runs and lays down and does like the whole.
And it's been kind of proven that if you do that, usually you end up losing somehow. Like it never looks good.
Right.
But I'm with you. I think that's showing up the refs. I think it's showing up everyone, and I get it out of there.
Okay, cool. You're with me on that one. And this is my final one. If one of your star players is dating a pop star, you can only show her in the suite 2 times during the game. Just 2.
That's all they do.
No.
It's been documented. It's like
has
40
it been
seconds,
documented?
40 seconds of time per game. That's it.
Please.
That's all you get. And yet you guys are still so obsessed with her. What's that? Oh, what's that Mean Girls quote?
I'm not.
Why are you so obsessed with me? That's what you are.
I'm not talking about anybody in particular.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Oh, actually,
why are you so defensive about Taylor?
It could be it could be Russell and Ciara.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Well, they never show Ciara.
They never
show anybody but Taylor.
because she's not popular.
Ciara's popular.
Name one song that she has.
1-2 Step. Name one song that Taylor has. You don't even know one Taylor Swift
I don't
song.
listen to Taylor Swift.
Okay, but you
I went to
can't
a
name
Limp
a single.
Bizkit concert last year.
Did you?
Yeah, my music taste is trash.
Limp Bizkit sucks.
No, I love Limp Bizkit, but everyone makes fun of my music taste.
Who makes fun of you? Paul?
No, Paul loves it. Paul's with me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah. Did you get the mosh pit?
No, I'm not man enough.
Really?
Actually, I don't think there was really much of a mosh pit there. I saw a mosh pit went to a metal concert called Paul Bear. There's a mosh pit there.
Oh,
scary.
Really?
Super scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a big dude, man. You do well in the mosh pit. Not right now because your shoulder's messed up.
Yeah, I'm what you call not tough.
Oh.
That sucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, I do want to play one more clip. This one's about Evan Ingram's potential influence on this Broncos offense. Let's hear from Sean Payton about Evan Ingram.
Put him in that category, that family. I think that he is someone that has those skill sets. I think one of the things that helped us in the process of him making a decision was that role, and maybe you could talk about it, but then historically speaking, having had players like him, I'm excited.
How much foam is in his latte thing? Can you go back to that? Just a still shot of that? Like
Put
at
him
the
in
very
that
end?
ca-
What is that drink?
That's tall. That is very. What's the?
Is
what's
that
the
foam
large?
or is
What's
no?
the
That's
large
that's a
version?
venti.
That's a venti. Okay.
Venti. But
Is that all foam?
Is that? It looks like all foam, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What are you drinking, Sean?
Also, I bet that's like his third one of the day, even though it's
Oh,
early.
if it's a two
There's an
latte
empty
day,
one
then-
over there on the left too.
Oh yeah, Starbucks is just doing it. man.
Starbies.
All right, thank you, Andy, for that. So yeah, he was asked about the Joker role for Evan Ingram, and he's a lot of those skills and characteristics. He also went on to talk about the inner triangle, the middle triangle being really important in the passing game, and that's the tight end, the slot receiver, the number 3 receiver, and the running back. Those guys need to be more productive in the passing game, or at least have been historically in Sean Payton's offenses.
Yeah.
And so that's what they're looking to shore up in this draft and in the free agency. They did it with Evan Ingram. That's what they're going to do by drafting a running back with receiver skills.
Sure.
And maybe they'll sign a slot receiver, a guy like Tyler Lockett, a guy like maybe somebody who has route running skills, who can be in the middle of the field, who can work the middle of the field. That's something they haven't really had. So keep an eye out on those types of players coming in to Sean Payton's offense. You got to remember just historically New Orleans, he put up huge passing numbers with guys like Jimmy Graham, who ran in the middle of the field, Alvin Kamara, who runs in that triangle in the middle of the field. And Michael Thomas was an X receiver. He had 149 catches in a season, but look for Sean Payton to shore that up in the draft.
Yeah.
And try to keep pace with your guys.
I'm anxious to see who you guys take. That's always exciting. The draft is always kind of like brings new hope to every team.
It does.
Except for like the Panthers.
Everyone is Super Bowl bound at this point.
Everyone. Actually, in this league, it is a worst to first kind of league. This ain't baseball.
No.
You know?
No. There's a lot of parity in the league. There's the draft. And so the worst teams draft first. That creates parity, or lets the
there's no
bad
lottery
teams,
like in the NBA where you might get screwed.
Right. The salary cap means that one team can't spend like twice as much as another team.
We're just crapping on baseball right now.
Crapping on baseball.
I almost said something else, but this is a family
You
show.
can say what you want.
I don't, but I don't. I'm a good Christian.
All right. All right. All right. Well, hey, that's it for us talking about the owners' meetings out there in Palm Beach. We heard from Brandon Cristal. We talked about Sean Payton and the things he had to say, and Greg Penner and the possibility of a new stadium. And we're gonna hope that Brandon, it's his birthday, has a great night out tonight, and we can catch up with him later in the week about what went on with him. Hey, have you heard about Trusted American Mortgage? Trusted American wants to help you get into a better interest rate, lower your monthly payment. Go to trustedamerican.com. Find out how much they can save you. I'll tell you what, Scott. You are a warrior for coming in here. You dislocated your shoulder. You fractured your scapula or some other crap like that.
Yep.
You got some work ahead of you.
Yeah, I do.
One day at a time. I'm happy you
I'm
made
going to talk to you about this more.
Yep,
You've had this injury.
We're going to discuss that later. But, hey, that's it for us. Thanks for joining us on Off Field. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.